it's it's involved. It's going to take you a lot of time. It is going to take you a lot of energy. It is going to take you a lot of studying. And you have to have been practicing palliative medicine for at least 6 months before you can even apply. So that shouldn't have even said credentialing, that should have said certification, I'm sorry. So that's what we want you to have is your advanced certified hospice and palliative nurse board certification. I think as long as you've been here for 12 months and you've been full-time working in the palliative practice, I think you could sit for that exam with studying and pass it. If you sit for this exam, and I sat for it just to see like, what does it look like? I failed it. So it's not something that you can just like breeze right through because it's gonna be symptom management, it's gonna be advanced care planning, it's gonna be laws, it's gonna be theories. The book, so if you go again, next slide for me, Paula.
Yep.
This is, the membership will also get you all of your newsletters, all of your journals. It'll get you to get your exam a little bit cheaper. So that's what all of that is. That $155 one-year membership that ends up saving you like $100 off your exam. The exam was over $500. The book to study for the exam was $250. The study guide for the book to the exam was $100. And then you can even do live courses that this can add up to be easily over $1,000. So you just want to make sure you're prepared. Don't walk into it thinking I've done palliative, I can go sit and do this. Like, you're gonna have to study, you're gonna have to be prepared. It is a proctored test, like it's legit for you to go have this. And then that certification, I believe, is 5 years. I didn't pass, so I don't know. Go to the next slide. I think I put, so those are the books. I think I sent you guys all that one on the left, that's like my Bible now for palliative. It's so incredible. And then that study guide will hopefully get you prepared for the test. That's all I used before I sat for the test. And so I think the book and the study guide, and I would probably hindsight even go back and now pay for the live courses, or at least the recorded courses. Next slide. This is also from them. If you want to just go through, I think that's over 1,300 questions for $100. I think that is probably worth it so that you can at least get an idea of what those questions are going to look like. Next. They were still looking at.
Oh, sorry. There you go. Okay.
Did you send that? Because that's not in my book.
This is not, it's in your email.
Okay.
Yes.
How many questions were on the test?
It was 150, maybe 175, because 25 of them are always practice and test questions, you know.
I think thinking about doing another test right now.
And you don't have to because you wouldn't pass it anyway. And when you want to go sit for it, you're even gonna have to send Dr. Patel or myself to have to sign off on your hours. So we'll know when you guys are getting prepared. I'll remind you guys like, hey, it's been 6 months. Where are you guys at studying? Because you've only got 6 months. And you go to the next slide. I think I put it on here. Go one more.
One more.
Yeah, maybe.
The 6 months for
There you
pain
go.
and palliative, you want us credential?
You are within 6 months, your palliative, we can talk about, okay, have it as a goal of a year.
Yes.
We're not going to fire you, we're not going to say don't do this, but at the same time, when he and I are out marketing, I have to give them a reason of why you guys are coming in there. I don't want us to just be another NP or a PA. I want us to be the best at what we do, and we show that through our certifications. So pain is easy, that's why you only get 6 months for that. But as you can see, like you only get to test 4 times a year. So since I failed, I can't even sit again until March. Also, and I have to pay another $150. So if you can see that my initial test cost me $355, and now I have to pay another $135 to retest.
How long do you have to be practicing for palliative?
At least 6 months.
So I would basically be eligible, right?
I think I would have to look at the paperwork, but I think it was as a provider.
Oh,
Yeah, I think so. All right, keep going.
Okay, do you want to go back here or?
No, this is just, does it tell you as long as 1,000 hours?
Oh.
So as an NP, yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, 500 hours in the past year, 1,000 in the past 2 months. And 500 hours, that's 3 months, really? We do about 2,000 hours a year, so. So after 3 months, you could sit for, I probably wouldn't. Okay,
Okay.
and then networking is
Oh.
the next one. I think
Okay, it's a different slide.
yeah, I think
Okay.
it says orientation networking, which is why I think I did.
No, let me go ahead to it.
And then the last piece of it is our networking. I don't want to say this is the most important, but if we're not, you will then text us to disseminate those. I ordered 1,000 more of these. You guys can take as many of those as you want for now, and then I will get you more. If you want your own business cards, just send me your information of what you want it to say. I also have 2 sets of business cards. One is my cell phone number that I'm gonna give to a provider, and one is going to be my generic that has the office information. You don't really need to do the generic one because you guys can take those. If you want that has your name and your cell phone number, just let me know and I will order them. Other tricks, who has an iPhone? Everybody has an iPhone? Do you guys know how to name drop? Do you know how to name drop?
Yeah.
So name drop is just, if we touch our phones like this, our contacts
Oh,
share
yeah.
each other. So anytime somebody wants my cell phone number, I just ask, do you have your iPhone? And our phones will touch and you now have my I didn't.
Oh, okay.
But you can either receive it or share it, or you can do both. So anytime I talk to somebody, I want to follow up with them, so I want their phone number. I will ask everybody for their phone number. Like, oh, let's talk about this in a little bit, or can I text you in a little bit, or text me next time you have a consult. They have my phone number, and if you have my phone number, I want yours so I know who's calling me. And that's an easy way to start storing them in your phone. I even kind of do it back like when you were dating like hot guy in the red shirt from the bar. I'll even do like internist from Honor ICU so that I can always find them in my phone, even if I don't remember their name. I can just type Honor ICU, they're gonna come up. Other things I use is .com, which is just a QR code that is on my phone that they can scan my QR code and it automatically drops my contact into their phone. And Dot even has like a bracelet now. You can put your bracelet near their phone. It drops into their contacts. My QR code. My QR code is on the back of my business card. So if I don't have business cards with me, I just have that one. I'll say, oh, just scan this. And then I get to keep that business card because they have my contact in their phone. I did make you guys brochures, so in the very back, and this was kind of something that patients asked me for, because they said, what is palliative? Do you have something I can look over? Same thing, when you run out of these, let me know. I just ordered 1,000 more, so when you guys need more, just let me know and I will drop them off. They are very much meant for patients, but you can give them to providers as well. All of our contact information's on there, our office information's on there. You're gonna even have people, especially the nurses, that want to know more about palliative. That is a great opportunity for you to offer up a little informal education session. You and their colleague are standing right there. Can I just take 5 minutes of your time and give you guys an idea of what we do so that when you see this again, you can remember to call me? Especially with pain management. You have providers that don't want to deal with opiates. Awesome. That's all I want to do is deal with opiates. And finding just those couple little minutes, that can be a mini informational session. You guys know that the nurses are going to be looking for you for that education and for that expertise. Take every opportunity to talk about what we do and share what we do. Okay. As far as your personal connections, this is one, like I said, I have no shame. If you have a white coat on, I'll be like, who are you? What's your name? I don't know who you get. I will often use I forgot a pen. Do you have a pen? So I can go introduce myself. And then I get to say, like, that's why I'm here. I had a pen in my pocket, I know, but at least now I got to talk to you. And now I know that unit secretary's name. And that unit secretary knowing your name. Next time somebody's talking about a patient that's circling the drain, they're gonna be like, oh, did you call Emily? She was just in here talking to me. All of those little things, when they remember you, I promise they will equal numbers onto your patient panel, which obviously translates this money into your pocket. So make sure you're nice to everybody. I don't know if you guys know how small of a world is, but I tell everybody it gets incestual at this point. You are never going to be at a hospital and be able to be mean to somebody and not run into them at the next hospital. Especially when you're working in dignity, a lot of those providers are going to other hospitals. Same with Honor Health. I just left Deer Valley. We should have carpooled because we both just ended up at JCL. Be nice to everybody. Maintain a relationship with everybody. That caseworker needs to be your best friend. That unit clerk is probably going to nursing school. That nursing school is probably going to NP school. It will all come full circle, so be nice to absolutely everybody. Introduce yourself to everybody. You guys are especially new. That's the perfect excuse to walk up to them and be like, I'm new. I don't know anybody. Can you help me out? Can you tell me who the unit clerk is? Can you tell me where the bathroom is? Can I borrow a pen? Whatever the case might be. Introduce yourself to everybody. That brings you to like your high traffic areas. If you don't have consults, go sit in the doctor's lounge. You will get consults. They all come through for their coffee in the morning. They all come through at lunchtime. And if you're sitting there, everybody talks about patients and you can always interrupt and say, I would love to help you out with that. Or do you need help with that? That's going to be probably your best one, I think, is the physician's lounge. Elevators, I will strike up a conversation. It doesn't matter. Wherever the doctors are, the white coats are, go hang out and you will get consults as soon as you start opening your mouth. If you don't talk to them, you won't get a consult.
One thing reminder, so you know how I told you, quality of life, you should chart at home, prepare chart. Disregard for first 3 months.
Start in the doctor's lounge.
In the first 3 months, you want to be more visible. Once you are all well known, people consulting you anywhere, doesn't matter. But first 3 months that people need to know you, you should spend each and every second possible in the hospital.
Yeah.
On the floor, in the doctor's lounge, sit there, chart slowly, anybody coming, smile, start talking, give your names, I don't think I've met you. As Emily's point. One more thing which Emily I think already mentioned, but if anybody say, oh, yeah, you're a new paralegal, let me have your number. Say, let me actually send you my number. And so ask that number to text them the number. So now you have that number as well. And then send them your e-card so they can save it, but now you also save them.
ER. Everybody avoids the ER. The ER is a great place to start a palliative consult. When that patient rolls in the door, they're already sick, they're already doing poorly. Go meet all of those ER docs and go say hi to them every morning as you walk through to just even wave. Anybody that's interested, always ask, if you guys are having a meeting, I would love to come attend. Can I do a 5-minute just brief introduction or tell you guys what I do? Most of the time they want you there. They are going to invite you as long as you offer it up. They will take you up on it.
That's where all the hospice patients end up too, because the facilities.
Exactly.
Can call 911.
Exactly.
I mean,
And
like.
think of how many resources we could save if we got to step in and find out that that patient wants to be a DNR, DNI, they want comfort care. If they don't get to speak up, now they're ending up in the ICU. Do you guys know 1 in 5 people in the United States dies in the ICU? That's a terrible statistic. We can change that and make sure patients die with dignity or wherever they want to be, not just in the ICU because nobody intervenes in the ER or when we could have. Make sure all of the ER doctors
That's
know,
like-
please.
Quite literally what happened to a patient of mine a week ago. They have no family, they have nothing in this facility they were at. Panicked because they fell, they broke their hip. And instead of calling us first, they called 911. We didn't find out the patient was in the ER because it happened over the weekend. Nobody informed us. So the patient ended up going through surgery, ended up in the ICU, and that patient never wanted that. But because we never, and obviously palliative wasn't a part of that because, yeah, we were never contacted. So, yeah.
So many, it's even providers think we are the gateway to hospice. I don't want to be the gateway to hospice. I want to be with you for 5 to 10 years before we talk about hospice. I want to manage your symptoms and make those 5 to 10 years great before you end up in hospice. I always think if you could just change it from palliative care to supportive care.
Mhm.
And that's what I always lead with the patients. I'm here to support you, nothing palliative about it. Since you are all brand new to us and to this position, please be presentable, please. Wearing a white coat makes people look at you, it makes them notice you, gives you the respect of being a provider. So even if you're not into wearing a white coat, I'm not, but maybe your first couple of months, it's not a bad idea, just so people know who you are, they notice you. You're gonna have a badge, but our Honor Health badge puts us as ancillary staff. They have to read in microscopic print that you're a nurse practitioner. So I made a giant thing at the bottom of mine that says DNP. You can make a giant one, just order it off Amazon that says NP, just so it stands out a little bit, because our badge is no different from housekeeping, really, from 10 feet away. All of these relationships, this is where like in my phone, when I save your contact, I will put some kind of cheat sheet. If we had a conversation where you brought something up, I can go back to it, because if I can speak to that, you're gonna think I'm amazing and have this great memory. Nope, I just have notes in my phone. You don't have to know that though, okay? If they do text you, I use the rule of, I always want to be the last one in the message. So if you said, thanks for helping me out, I'm always gonna say you're welcome, or I will always be the last communicator, and that's how you know that I got your message. So as my other job, I have to do that for being an instructor. I've just carried it over here. Even if it's the pharmacy, just getting clarification on an order, I will still say, thank you for reaching out, or thank you for confirming. It's just a way of leaving a better impression, just be better than everybody else. In the hospital, ICU does grand rounds. This is a great place to go learn about the patients in the ICU. If you guys are reading that Bible that I just told you about, that book straight out says every patient in the ICU should have a palliative care consult. How many of them are not sick enough to need a palliative care consult? They're in the ICU, they are. If you're on grand rounds and they don't have a palliative care consult, make a little check mark and go back and talk to the doc and see, hey, is there any rationale as to why we couldn't do a palliative? I never ask, why didn't you do this? I feel like it's confrontational, but if you ask to explain, or can you tell me your rationale, that's not as confrontational. And they might see that, oh, who doesn't need goals of care planning? Who doesn't need advanced directives in the ICU? They all do. So tell me, how can we get a palliative care consult on there? Or how could palliative care help you out with this? ICU, those rounds will take a long time. So not something you're gonna wanna do every day, but especially in the beginning, and if your panel is low, go find out what time ICU rounds are and hop into those rounds. You are going to be at some hospitals up against direct competition because the hospital employs their own palliative groups. That's fine. There's enough patients for us to all go around. The difference is we want to be a little bit better. We want to do a little bit more so that next time they go to put in that consult, they don't just put in a generic palliative consult, they put in a Dr. Patel consult. So it comes to us, okay? I always, if I see a patient, always go back and talk to that doctor, text him, send him a message. Epic is easy. When you click on a patient's chart, it'll tell you who the attending is, and there's even a little message button right next to it. So right after I see him, I'll send him a message, hey, saw this guy, this is what I did. Even though my note's in there, I'm making it more personal just to that doctor that, yes, I went and saw your patient, this is what I was able to accomplish. Make sure you are going in as an expert. If you don't have the answer, just don't say, I don't know, tell me that you will find out for me. Make sure that if the physician wants you to do something and you don't know how to do it, don't tell them that, please come to us. If you've never done a PCA pump and you need to figure out how to do that, please call us. Don't tell them, I've never done a PCA pump, I'll get back to you. Call us. Every hospital, when you're doing your advanced directives, it goes to a different person. Dignity, it's the chaplain. Honor, it's the caseworker. So you're gonna have to know all of these little nuances of who do I consult because we do need these advanced directives. Who's gonna be the person that's gonna come behind me and actually get them done for me? And then make sure that they know everything that you can be involved in. Even if it is just pain management, we are pain and palliative associates. If they don't have any palliative needs, do they have pain needs? How many of you guys like writing opiates? Probably not a lot of people. That goes for everybody. So if we can go in and say, I will take opiate prescribing off your plate. Oh, and if they end up at a SNF, our company rounds at 45 different SNFs around the valley. If they need us after that, oh, our company has an outpatient clinic. We can follow them through the continuum of their entire care. Make sure that they know that, because that's another added piece of why they're going to want to use us over that other group.
Yeah, could you talk more about the reference to the clinic?
Yes, so especially why those cards are helpful, because you can hand those to patients or providers. They can do the consult or they can call Mary. Any of you guys, if you know that this patient's being discharged and you want them to follow up, I will share Mary's contact information with you. She's our front office. I text her, I'll take a picture of the face sheet, I'll text her the information. We do want to upload an H&P or a progress note so that our provider at the clinic has some background information on what we're doing. But we can make it very seamless of getting them scheduled. You guys don't have to do anything, you just have to text Mary. Hey, I've got a patient for you, can you get them scheduled? As long as she has a face sheet, she now has all of their contact information. None of these patients that are needing palliative in the hospital are we curing, and they don't need palliative as an outpatient. We should be able to have our clinic absolutely full at all times. We should probably already be hiring another provider because we've had our clinic for over a year now.
Clinic has not been a priority, but if we do the things right way, we have clinic in North Phoenix. Our practice inpatient is busy all over the valley. If we do the things right way, we should have a freestanding clinic in West Valley, freestanding clinic in East Valley, because we are discharging so many patients from our services. So we're gonna start doing those things now. Is that any patient being discharged from under your care, you should be asking the question, is there a reason this patient should not be followed in the clinic? I don't want you to ask the question, is there a reason this patient should? Is there a reason this patient should not be followed in the clinic? Any pain need, any symptom need? Patient has chronic condition which will progress. Somebody need to, I did such a good job in the hospital talking to this patient's family about advanced care planning. But the liver cirrhosis is gonna keep progressing. The heart failure is gonna keep progressing. So I want my colleague outpatient to now keep talking to the family as well. So your patient being discharged, ask yourself a question, is there a reason this patient should not fall in the clinic?
And really, your only two reasons, they either died or they're already with a palliative group. We don't need to poach patients, there's enough people in the valley, so if they're already established, cool, get in with yours, but those are really your only two reasons, otherwise they should be with us. A lot of them are gonna be going to a SNF, that's why I still text Mary and she can follow up with them weekly until they're discharged. There's a solid chance they're gonna be seeing one of our providers in the SNF anyway. And hopefully we're doing that there too, but you guys can start it in the hospital at least for us.
Yeah. Also, I want to add in, just make sure the patient knows that you are referring them to the clinic, which is pain and palliative clinic. And we have chaplain, why also they want to go to the clinic, because making sure they're, the aftercare, right? Making sure they're taking their medicine, their pain is well controlled. So that is why they need to be referred at the clinic. They can also fax or the email as well. You can fax or email to the clinic for a reference.
And my next business cards,
Oh,
some have the QR code that goes right through our website.
What's the difference between like palliative outpatient and following up with the PCP?
We are going to do more. We're gonna do all of the symptom management. We're not gonna send them out for pain management. We're gonna keep them. They will get off the phone with me and hop right on with Sedona, and they get a chaplain visit right there. And they're not getting billed for that. So it's another set of eyes at a higher level of care, probably more frequently. And right now, we would be able to get them in sooner than a primary care would as well.
And
So three word pain and symptom management, prognostication, advanced care planning. These three things PCP will not be.
They're okay, yeah.
yeah,
And
and
Sedona will also do our advanced care planning. So if they don't have a living will, they don't have a power of attorney, once she talks to them, she's a notary, she'll get that done for us.
and that's
I
Sedona.
see.
Then Dr.
Really?
Patel. I know, like
Right
you
now.
wanted to. Yeah.
We offer more.
Okay,
And I always tell them too, it's just another set of eyes on you to make sure that you're doing well and that we're doing everything you want, not what we want, but what you want.
would you suggest to pass these out every single time you initially do it? Cause
If
that's
they-
what I'm thinking.
If they want it, absolutely. And I've had so many patients ask me for that, which is why I made those. So
Okay.
that's what they're there for.
Okay,
If you are gonna pass it
I
out.
think I
all
would
the
feel
time,
more comfortable
I'm good with
initially
it.
getting it, okay,
I'll give you some from this folder. too.
yeah, thanks.
There you go. All right. As far as the education and advocacy, this is where we do want you guys to be the experts, which is why I talked first about the credentialing, because like I said, we want to have a reason why we are the ones there. When I've talked to the other palliative providers in the hospital, they're not board certified. I want us to all be board certified so that when they ask, why should we go to you? We held ourselves to that standard. Nobody's making us do that. We held that standard because we do want to be the ones that can educate. We do want to be the ones that they are looking to for guidance and that expertise that really should fall on us. We're the ones having to do the education for the family and for the patient. Make sure you know what you're talking about. This, I think this is an important one too, as far as the misconceptions, because so many times they say, oh, so you're with hospice, or oh, you're hospice. A lot of hospice groups have palliative. They do that to feed their hospice. We are not a hospice. We are not looking to feed anyone particularly, and we do that strategically. We do not align with one hospice because we want the patients to be what's right for them. We want to take care of them until they hit that point, and then it's up to them. We can offer a recommendation, or we can give them a couple of different places, but we do not align ourselves with just specifically one hospice for that reason. As far as media and social media, we do have a LinkedIn, so please like that page for us. Anytime you're doing anything cool or great, whether that be presenting at a grand rounds or a mini grand rounds, let us know so that we can be there. We'll support you. We'll put it on LinkedIn. Just even if it's updating your guys' own LinkedIn that you're now with PPA, so that your other colleagues will reach out to you and say, what are you doing now? That can be another referral source for you. Hopefully they're not a lot of patients in the hospital, but at least now they know where you are and that they can reach out to you, because we do have an outpatient clinic. If they don't have anybody in the hospital, but they need us, cool, here's my office number for you. And anytime you guys are around Abrazo, Scottsdale, that's where our office is. We share the parking lot at 32nd Street in Bell. Jazz is our NP there. She's phenomenal. Anytime you're around, feel free to stop in and see her, because that's where her and Sedona are hanging out Monday through midday Friday. As far as like just making sure you know what you're talking about, even just telling a little story of what did you accomplish with palliative and I'll give you just my brief little story, and this was just last week. That patient was a full code. He'd been a quadriplegic for 20 years, and he was strictly hanging on because it was only he and his mom. He didn't want to die because who's going to take care of mom? And I read all of that in his notes before I even went and met him. When I went and talked to him, he was done. He couldn't breathe, but he didn't want to be intubated. He was already on stressors, kidneys failing. And after taking the couple of minutes to talk to him and find out what he needed, found out that he was just living for mom. So I figured out how to get the 95-year-old on a video call so that they could have that conversation, so that she could tell him, I support your decision. Please don't hang out for me. And within that hour-long time that I spent with him, which is a long time, but that hour-long time, he went from a full code to DNR, DNI, over to comfort care, and he passed away within 12 hours. The way that he wanted to. Not on machines, not on pressers, not living for his mom, but using that story can be impactful for anybody that you're talking to. You probably already have lots of stories that you can share of just what I do and why do I do it.
So I have a similar story when you walk into some of these rooms and it's like, okay, now you know that you need to just let it go, right? How do you not feel like a failure, for lack of better words, when you don't get them to agree to what you know? I mean, this patient, I was kind of thinking that we were talking about the same patient because bilateral amputations, but this guy was contracted, blind in one eye. He was only 32. He could only really move his lip, and I was like scratching an itch for him and all this, but he had been in hospice a few times, left out, and just wouldn't.
So I always tell people one thing, and Sarona can answer this question much better. But one thing to remember, it's not your journey. It's not your journey.
But I
So,
feel,
so your job,
yeah,
and this is, if you take one thing out of this whole day, your job as a healthcare provider is not to make people hospice or DNR.
right.
Your job, your success is measured in a way where you're able to help the patient, the family to understand what they are going through, honestly. After that, what informed decision they make, It's not your failure or success.
Okay,
Once you communicate with them what they're going through,
yeah,
and they decide it's okay, because I have said in the meeting and patient said, I hear what you're saying, but for me, if there's a heartbeat on the machine, if I'm vegetable, but if there's heartbeat on the machine, I wanna keep going like, okay, I hear you. I'm not gonna feel failure, oh my god, this patient is in horrible shape and they want to leave like this.
Yeah.
No, that is there. But do I feel that I was able to communicate that what is
Okay.
expectation? And if they say yes,
okay,
so don't measure your success and failure by the outcome.
okay,
I know I said that thing, and that's the reason I'm saying is that yeah, we should try everything possible to maximize the output which other provider wants.
yeah,
But it will happen, it might not happen.
right,
But that should not be measure of your failure.
okay,
And if they're saying no to you, they've already said no to the attending, they've already said no to everybody before you, so when you go back and you're like, I tried, they're like, yeah, we did too, thanks for trying. They're gonna see that, so
Okay.
yes, do not, that's not what you're there for, you are there to support whatever decision and journey they want to take.
What do you
Okay.
think? Sir?
Yes.
Anything word of wisdom on this one?
Well, when we approach patients who we clearly walk into the room and they go, oh, this is. They're minutes away, or why would they, or all those
Yeah.
questions that come into our mind,
yeah,
is to take a breath and to remember that, as Dr. Patel said, this is their journey and their choice. As long as we are expert communicators and have been able to communicate clearly and effectively what their outcome looks like, they choose, they still have that autonomy. And when we take away their autonomy, we begin to abuse. And so we don't ever want to cross over, like this doctor said, this nurse said, this, and everybody's coming in and they're like, I have already told you, if there's a heartbeat, I'm gonna keep going. So we can cross into abuse, and we never want to do that. And the other thing is, besides thinking about what, they should be, is to take that step back and think about, why is this bothering me? When we start to turn the mirror back on ourselves and say, what is it about me that I get so bothered when I see this guy that can only scratch his lip? Why is it affecting me? And once you can have that really clear, honest conversation with ourselves, then we can begin to understand, okay, this is my challenge, it's not their challenge. And perhaps scratching that lip,
not
It's
scratching.
moving it, whatever.
Right,
perhaps that was acceptable to you,
yeah,
right?
obviously,
Right, so everybody has a line on what's acceptable. And so that's what we have to wrestle with in our own spirit, in our own soul, is what's acceptable to me may not be acceptable to John. It's okay. And so it's coming to that acceptance within ourselves.
Now,
Understand.
one thing is to your question, what we do get caught between patient, family, and other providers as a palliative care providers. But you always have to follow the principle of patient autonomy. Is that I have communicated well with the patient and the family, and this is what you want, we are ready for. So the only time where you will start crossing that boundary is if this is unethical situation. Right? So give you an example. If patient is brain dead, or patient is near brain dead, and family saying keep going everything, that's come to a point of living unethical situation. So in that case, that's where you start getting a little bit more inquiring about, tell me more. And even in that case, when there's an ethical question, the ethical situation should be dealt with knowing the reason behind ethical dilemma. Not by confrontation. Then, oh my God, you are being unrealistic. What the hell? In your mind, you can think, you can go in a quiet room and like, that family is nuts. Right? But in front of them, you have to be professional, saying, tell me more about what you understand, right? Because a lot of 90% of ethical dilemma can be resolved by knowing the factor behind that. I'm gonna keep going because my granddaughter is getting married and I don't want my husband to die before. Or no, we still think that there is a life left. Let's talk more about that. Let me have neurologists come and join us as well. So if there is an ethical question, that's when you start crossing the boundary that family is asking, even after repeated explanation, but we need to talk more. We don't accept the answer because now it's ethically unacceptable to keep going like this. But if that is ethically acceptable and family is asking to, or patient is asking to continue doing something which we feel is really a horrible situation, they have right to. All you do is daily going and keep checking on them.
Well, I did ask him, what his reasons were, and he said that he's doing it for his family, to be around for his family. Okay. Okay,
Then you're not a failure.
yeah, well, I mean, that,
You
yeah,
did exactly what you're
Yeah.
supposed to do.
In that,
I guess my goal, I thought was different when I was going in. I thought my goal was to obtain a DNR. So that's why I felt like a failure, yeah, because I didn't obtain that goal. But when you say it like that, that's not what our goal is, it makes sense.
having said that, you should not stop trying. So you should always propose the question. In this question, I would ask you, I can see how your family is very important to you.
Yeah,
Tell me how you're doing. This is all about you right now. It's about
Yeah,
you, your
right.
body, your quality of life.
right.
Are you happy with your state?
Oh,
Are you happy with your body?
I
Because a
didn't
lot
do
of-
that.
So mainly with accepting, acknowledging,
Yeah.
but also proposing the question, it
Okay.
will give us to keep working in next few days.
Okay.
And another add-on to that is, does your family know how you feel about this? Because they may be, like Emily was saying, he was holding on for mom, but mom was going, there's no need for you to hold on for me. So a lot of times, there's a gap in communication because the patient is trying to be very strong for the family because they're assuming. And the family is trying to be very strong for the patient because they're assuming. And until this happens, nothing moves. So, always think of the next question. I always think of it as they're handing you a thread, keep pulling it. Don't just stop because then you've left the thread dangling. But think of what could be the next possible question? I'm doing this for my family. Does your family know about how you feel? And just keep going. And the amount of information you'll get if you gently ask curious questions, you'll get much more information. And your job is to never, how many times do we go and they're going, can you go get the DNR? We've tried. That is not our goal. That is not our reason. We can surely attempt. We can, as Dr. Patel says, keep trying, but our goal is never to force anything on anybody. Or support. We want to support you in this decision, and it may come, but not right yet.
And
You'll
can I,
be, sorry, you'll be surprised how much you can achieve by not telling but asking. Keep asking more questions. Because when you keep telling, they say you keep telling the same thing, you're not doing for your quality of life. Acknowledge and ask. Acknowledge and ask. If I see your family, tell me more about your family. Who's your family? How are your kids? Tell me more about your quality of life, what you're going through.
Okay.
How your family, as well as how your family, does your family know what you're going through? So ask more open-ended questions and let them realize. Take them to the point where they start realizing what should be done next.
I see.
So it's all you.
I was just gonna say, not like just from the other side of it, so a lot of times I'll do admissions into hospice in the hospital. And part of that, when you're coming onto hospice, is obviously one of our major goals is to get a DNR, like right from the admission. And what I found with doing that is people are very scared of DNRs because they've had doctors coming in and being like, you need to have a DNR because you're not going to survive this, like very much like telling them what they need to do. And so they're afraid that they're getting these decisions, like their autonomy taken away. So a lot of times I'll ask them, like just asking open-ended questions a little bit more, and then also being like asking their permission, can I talk to you honestly about what that looks like if CPR were to be performed on you? Is that something that you want? Instead of just like coming in and like commanding that like, we're here, this is where you're at, like you're sick, you won't survive that. And I don't think it's probably as harsh as but that's what the patient hears, right? So I think, I don't know, that's just my experience with it, is just being a little bit more, gentle with it, like
I don't
they've
think
been
I was in
one-
there like.
No, not
Just
you.
that way.
No,
I'm not like.
not you. I'm
Okay.
saying like, how like specialties can come in and like they're just like very like black and white and like I'm not talking about you, I'm just saying that's what I've experienced at least. It's just like they feel like their autonomy is like kind of being taken away.
Yeah, I'm new to it, so I
About
haven't
it,
seen
so
all.
that same day with my other patient, I had a liver failure patient that she did not want to be DNR, she's definitely dying.
Mhm.
So, tell me more about it. And she's, well, if I could, I would want to be resuscitated. So then I can go do my bucket list. I can go to the ocean and I can go fish. And I was, oh no, if you code, your heart is not gonna be strong enough to ever come off those machines. So she had a very misconception
Oh,
of
okay.
what that
Mhm.
reality looked like. So when I did try to just find out more,
Mhm.
oh, so I'm not gonna go fishing after I code, like, no, you're not, you 90% chance die in the hospital, like, and sometimes giving those statistics, I mean, I'm not Jesus, I can't tell you when that's going to happen, but I can tell you that 90% of patients don't come out of the hospital after CPR, you know,
Yeah.
so giving more about that and really just finding out the why, and it's
Yeah.
a lot more questions than answers, I think.
It's important for us to remember that people have the idea of Grey's Anatomy.
Yep, and that same patient, the reason is because on Grey's Anatomy, she could get a partial liver transplant, cause they could take the portal vein from her pig.
Oh.
And like legit, and I had to say, she's like, well, where did they come up with that? And I said, creative
Hollywood.
It's like, it's not medicine, they didn't get it from us, I assure you.
But that's where they get their education from. You
Yep.
have to remember that. Skewed.
No. Alright, for being part of the team, please just, that was the next one. Make sure that you guys are walking around with PPA on your scrubs, you are a reflection of us. Even if it's somebody asking me where the bathroom is, and I don't know, I'm gonna find it for them. All eyes are on you, even when you don't know that their eyes are on you, so be helpful in anywhere and any way that you can. If I'm sitting there charting with a bunch of docs and I'm running down to get a water, I always ask everybody around me, do you need a bottle of water? It's free, don't worry about it, like you're getting it from the lounge, and I'll grab stuff for them. Anybody that does anything cool, if you guys like get published or do anything, let us know, so we can celebrate, like the most emails that I've got to send out is just babies being born on our team, but if you have a baby, I'll celebrate that as well, that's cool. As far as on the hospital, there is committees for everything, so as you guys start getting familiar, and these are gonna be more like probably into the future when you're stepping up your game and now you wanna be more involved, find out about those committees, if you wanna jump in, you're gonna learn about a lot more stuff, you're gonna meet a lot more people. It's gonna be a great networking opportunity and it'll be a way for you to provide the education that you want patients to have, or I should say providers to have about us. Your next one. Make sure if you do have like those stories, that's why I do try to like jot little things down that have happened to me or have impacted me so that I can always go back and use that as some kind of reference. Outside of that, with tracking metrics, that's stuff that we are going to do on our side, but if you guys wanna just start even, you know, even if it's in your mind, like, oh, I know this physician is always giving me referrals, but this physician gives me one here and there. If you guys just even start tracking that and letting us know, we can always come behind you and try to help bump up those numbers. We can talk to those physicians. We can help you out with that whenever we know about it. And then I will go, or one of us will go through, as far as your billing codes, probably every month to start off with, and then we'll back off, and like Aurora said, you'll only hear from us if something is wrong. But in the beginning, we'll be there with you to make sure all of your codes are where they should be. And we're never gonna ask you to bill outside. Just, I think a lot of us, once we start doing this and we get really comfortable, you think, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal, I can bill lower. But it's still a very complex patient. You're just very efficient at it. So don't let your efficiency downplay your billing. Every palliative patient is complex. Every opiate patient is complex. There's a lot of stuff that we have to do education, background wise, and that's what our billing is reflecting, not just your time efficiency. Okay. Make sure you're professional all of the time. Please don't make me talk to you about deodorants or anything like that, because that's an awkward conversation that I have to have with somebody, so please don't let me. You are representing us and you are representing yourself, so please just look like that, okay? And then just make sure.
Next one,
Yeah.
okay.
Be proactive. You don't have to wait for those consults. You don't have to sit there and look at a computer screen. Walk around. You're gonna find patients. Talk to physicians. You're gonna get referrals. Tiger text, epic messaging, those are huge ways that you can make an impact. Tara, like even your patient that you couldn't change that DNR, sending a message to that doctor and saying, he's really hanging on for his family, lets them know that you talked to him.
Okay.
Lets them know that you engaged in a meaningful way, that you didn't just go in there with a
Right.
task to check off. And now he's gonna wanna refer to you again. So even though you don't feel like you accomplished it, you probably accomplished your next referral coming in from that physician. So remember that.
And he also knows why he's hanging on. I mean, that's.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly. Yeah. So everything that I gave you is just hopefully tips and tricks. We'll be walking around with you your first, at least couple of days, as well as we'll do some introductions. But then don't be shy. Introduce yourself to anybody, everybody, and the referrals will come. You guys are already coming into a company that has a great reputation, so you've got that to lean on. You've got a physician that's really well respected in the community. You've got that to lean on. You can always say, like, I'm with Jay Patel. Most
Yeah,
physicians know
true.
Jay Patel.
Yeah.
Or
And-
AJ Patel.
Or don't say Dr. Patel, please say Jay. With palliative care and PPA. Any questions for me? And then any marketing material, if you guys run